Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the beautiful beach of the Praia da Rocha here in Portimão on the south coast of Portugal. The first ever World Beach Ultimate Club Championships has already started. If you missed the opening ceremony and the showcase starter, you can go back and watch those as well, where UFA took on AKS Złe of Poland. But now we are continuing with some mixed division action and a matchup that we will not have seen before, because when else would these two sides have had the chance to meet? It's Corocotta from Spain up against Wagon from Newcastle, Australia, and it's Benji Rees and Ravi Vasudevan in the booth. Morning, I say morning, afternoon, Ravi.
Is it afternoon already?
Yes,
well,
just ticked over midday.
Like that's true, that's true. But yeah, very excited for this one. Like you said, two teams that probably have never played each other before. An Australian beach team, club team versus a Spanish club team. We both know both nations, famous for their beaches, so I imagine we'll be in for a good one. I know Corocotta, typically, I think, a little bit under the Guayota, but close to challenging them in Spain. Wagon, I know I've seen them from Newcastle in Australia. Been pretty good on the grass. I've never seen them on beach, so I'm excited to see what I'm going to see here.
Yeah, Newcastle have a few players who are doing the double over the next fortnight, who are sticking around for the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships, as the pull from Corocotta will pin Wagon deep in their own end zone, and they throw it straight into traffic, and it is ruthlessly punished there by the Spaniards. Manuel Garcia finding Jorge Garcia, and that is a 1-0 lead and a clean break for Corocotta.
Yeah, phenomenal work there by Manuel Garcia, just taking that position, taking that D, and then marshalling that offense quickly, not hesitating at all, knowing they have the mismatch in terms of athleticism here. I think that looks like that's going to be the advantage on Corocotta's side, and it's going to have to come to some smarts and some intelligence that Wagon are going to want to fight in this one.
And that was all set up really straight from the off. When you have a pull that pins a team back in, right deep in their own end zone, you make their job so much tougher. And obviously on beach, with the shorter fields compared to the full 7-on-7 grass version, you do see that more often, where you do get those back corner pulls, and teams will frequently be starting in negative field position.
Yeah, yesterday I had a practice game with my team UFO against Jet Set, and at the beginning of the game, our pullers were not getting the pulls in bounds, and it was such a big advantage for Jet Set. There was a big side wind yesterday, and if they were able to start 15 meters in the center of the field every time, it was so much easier for them than if we pinned them back there like Corocotta did.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a breeze coming on, as you maybe can see from the flags in the background. That's a hell of a take. Superb grab there from Winchester. Now Prosser collects the little flip backwards, full sat out on the mark, but it stopped the throw going downfield, so it achieved its aim. Now here's Brittany McCarthy, looking for the break. Well reeled in, and now shooting down the line again. It's floating, and just the awkward adjustment at the end with Garcia prowling around, and it wouldn't quite stick in Adams' hands.
Better offense there from Wagon. I also really like what I'm hearing from Corocotta, clapping. They're celebrating every little moment in these championships that can be so huge to win the energy battle. And we'll see if Corocotta can continue. So far they haven't turned it over with one break on their side.
Just a little swing to start before they take the underneath space. Cut powers up line, and they see the little seam to hit that swing, and now they're trying to get some break side momentum going at midfield. Lots of space for the dump, so why not take it? A few yards away now in the red zone. Tries to isolate. Oh, it's tipped. And it maybe tipped it out of the path of the receiver in the end zone. Yeah. Wagon get a second life. First
mistake there from Corocotta. And again, lots of positivity coming from their sideline. I really like what I'm seeing here from the whole team.
Here's the deep shot. Arcing it up, looking for Winchester. He's got the speed and he's got the disc as well. Superb. Full extension on the floor, and it dropped brilliantly into his hand. And Wagon get themselves on the board.
You can see there, I think it was Manuel Garcia again guarding there, completely gave up on that disc, thinking it was way too far, but an incredible layout grab, as I'm sure we'll see on the replay coming up here.
I think it's one of those as a defender where you feel like, I'm not going to get it, and you just got to hope that your opponent doesn't as well.
Didn't work out for him this time. Here we see that disc floating up, and Winchester just chasing it down. Full extension needed there for that grab. as Wagon survive and get their first hold on the board. Corocotta here still up 1 break. They did break to start things off for those of you just joining us. Wagon did start on defense, although it's 1-1. Corocotta with a slight advantage.
Yeah, as well as Wagon, who are the mixed team based in Newcastle. You have their open team I-Beam and the Sugar Magnolias, who are the women's team, I think. Steph, who is our Australian ultimate expert, gives me the thumbs up. Here's Corocotta's first O-line. Lots of space underneath to hit Marino. Wants the swing, takes it for a slight loss of yardage there to Gaud. And Oabe. Shot to Alvarez. Trying to set up the deep shot. Air underneath it, a stretch and a chase towards the far side of the end zone. And another superb layout. These sides putting on a show here on the glorious Iberian sands.
As Javier Gaud there on the Corocotta side, showing that if one number 18 is going to have a layout grab, the other number 18 can do it just as well. So interesting to see which one is going to own that jersey number by the end of this one. So far, 1 for 1.
I'll be honest, if they keep doing that for the rest of the game, I think I'll be happy. Certainly the highlight reel will be happy about it. I mean, it is beautiful. We've been fortunate enough to come to Portimão a few times over the years through EBUC and EBUCCs, and they always put on a really good event. 20 fields stretching all the way along the beach, which is glorious. Each field has its own little sponsor. We are, of course, giving you all the action from the ULTI.TV arena, and I must say that is incredibly satisfying to say. We've even got a Jumbotron at the end.
You can see a lot of those sponsors littered around the sideline.
So Wagon back on offense. Something's happened a little bit strangely there. Aaron Del Rio is, there's a pick that's going to come right the way back. And Del Real will set his position again. It's the gloved Bolton to pick up, and he's going for Del Real again. And he throws himself to the sand with, well, not quite reckless abandon, but happy to put his body on the line, which is one of the great things about playing beach, is that, of course, those layouts are a lot more forgiving. A little clashing of legs, knocking of knees downfield, but everyone seems A-okay.
It seemed like 2 Wagon cutters there, running into each other a little bit.
Just checked in. Looking for the swing, and it is speared into the ageless Greenfield. Now sitting it out with space, another layout. This time it comes up short. See a lot of those throws where on beach, throwing with touch and throwing with finesse is so important. Just putting it out there and letting the receiver go and chase it down, rather than necessarily zipping it to them.
Yeah, if you're going to zip it, you basically have to do it, as you said, zip it to them. In grass, you can usually zip discs into space. But if you're going to do that on beach, you should challenge your throw to your target and not really into space, because people are a bit slower on the sand.
Foul called. A little too much physicality there from McFerrin for Greenfield's liking.
McFerrin, a player that's been involved in a lot of development in Africa. Sad story that the Kenyan team couldn't make it out here, Blackfish.
Thankfully, we still do have the Kakamega Wolves, I think, have been able to make the trip, which is good. But yes, disappointing that we're not having even more Kenyan representation as Corocotta work it quickly down the field, zip it down the open side into the end zone for the score. And you do see this, I think, on the sand especially, that once your offense gets in motion, if you've got that step and you deliver it early, it's so tough to stop.
Yeah, and Wagon just a little bit off on their throws. That mistake is so costly, because it would be very, very difficult to get that disc back off this Corocotta side. They managed to do it once, but this time Corocotta really well oiled on their defensive attack. We see here continuing up to the fields, and that's a break. Second break of the game for Corocotta. They're up 3-1, and even a bit further than that, given that they started this game on defense.
And they had a shot at the disc on the previous point that Wagon scored as well. So they are generating themselves opportunities. Certainly first game of what is going to be a long and exhausting week, because let's face it, playing on sand does take quite a lot out of you, especially in the hot sun as it has been so far today. And when it's windy as well, there's that extra kind of hurdle to try and battle your way through. So it's not quite a war of attrition necessarily, but yeah, there's a lot of Frisbee to be played, and by the end of it, there will be some very tired legs out there. Pull fielded from the floor after a little bit of a roll. Corocotta look to get their defense set. Happy to allow that lateral pass just to try and stop something downfield.
Yeah, sagging off the handlers there.
Prosser wanted the quick dish off, didn't see it downfield. As a player gone deep, and I think just didn't quite have that in position, the timing not necessarily there. And then the drop straight through Prosser's hands. Good job there by the Spanish of just kind of slowing them down and frustrating. And then the quick hustle towards the disc, hitting the isolation with the inside shot. That's ruthless from Corocotta.
What I really like there is Kyle McPherson making the cut into the open space and clearing that out for that inside shot. Great movement, great recognition. You can tell this team plays together a lot, and they set those things up intentionally. That's another break on the board. 4-1, the Spanish really in commanding lead here. You saw there the drop. I think what happened was there was a deep option going, and he was looking at that, ready to throw that next throw before securing the catch. Classic mistake, and Wagon pay for it here.
Certainly not been the start to the tournament that Wagon would have hoped. But Corocotta are a tough opponent. These two sides are in Pool G in the mixed division. Wagon, the 7th seed overall, Corocotta 18. So this would be, according to the seedings, a little bit of an upset, but Corocotta are a quality side and are certainly not to be underestimated. Also in this pool, UKR, the Ukrainian mixed team, Foo Fighters from Singapore, Guam Bats, predictably from Guam, Belgium's Flying Rabbits, and Wasta from the United Arab Emirates. So some real international flavour in this pool. You love to see it. Going towards the far sideline, overthrown. The bid doesn't get there. And Corocotta are just going to slow play things a little bit. They'll let Cantero pick up. The wind beginning to pick up a little bit now as well. Marino just taking the open ones while they're there. Dishing back towards the break side. Thinking about that inside flick, threatened it a couple of times before working back towards the other side of the field, and then just good timing in the end zone, flowing, and Corocotta pouring it on here.
Yeah, just very, very efficient and powerful D-line offense from Corocotta. They really look like a well-oiled machine. Wagon, I think it's been one time that they've gotten the disc back off the D-line, but aside from that little mix-up, this Corocotta side just extremely good. Lots of powerful cutters, spacing really well, setting up their structure really well. It's really going to be a hard road for Wagon to climb here.
Yeah, obviously we should mention that, well, we've mentioned it, but we shouldn't overlook the fact that Australia's a long way away, right? So I'm not entirely sure how long they've been here in Portugal, but obviously there will be that little bit of adjustment as opposed to, you know, coming from next door, shall we say, in Spain.
Funny enough, last weekend, my team had a practice on the beaches in the Netherlands. My team and the CBC, another team that's representing the Netherlands here, both practicing in Zandvoort, a beach in the Netherlands. And after we finished practicing, all of a sudden we saw two people with a real disc, you know, when you see that. Sorry, I'll finish that story up in a second. We'll go to an ad, and we'll be right back with you in a moment.
Don't go away. Welcome back to the World Beach Ultimate Club Championships. First game of the tournament for Wagon and Corocotta. Very much gone Corocotta's way so far. Benji Rees and Ravi Vasudevan. Ravi, you were in the midst of a story before we went to our wonderful commercial partners.
Yes, we were practicing on the beaches of the Netherlands last week for this tournament. A couple people showed up with discs in their hands, and turns out they were from Wagon, so they made their way to the Netherlands first. Schiphol is a quite major airport for Europe, so not too surprising.
That makes sense.
Probably stop by and get in some beach throws before coming over to play here.
And that also makes a lot of sense that you would have a bit of an adjustment period so that you're not fresh off a plane, fully jet lagged. And you couldn't enjoy the delights of the Algarve to the fullest extent. Off the timeout, they draw up the deep shot. Oh, it was right in stride. And maybe you'd think just having a little look whether she was in the end zone or not, and it dropped out of her hands.
It was a great find. He caught the defender looking, I think, and just hit it into space. She read the moment well, attacked the disc properly, and this sadly dropped out of her hands into the sand.
Corocotta won't mind, as they isolate Anuabe as the first cut. Trying to keep the disc in low stall counts, a little bit fluttery, but caught regardless by Sainz. And then, oh, that's a very awkward high stall throw. Just get it out any way you can. And Wagon earn it back, and now they're looking to strike quickly because they've got to play a wide open, streaking deep off the turnover. All the time in the world to measure it. And Kirsten Murray brings it in and gets Wagon back on the board.
As the most flustered we've seen the Corocotta offense on that point, even though it was a D-line offense. The previous D-line points have been really, really good, but their reset structure just not working. Forcing that disc up into that pocket and then not playing defense on the turn is the worst part of that one, Benji. If you're going to make mistakes out here, it's a little windy, it's a little sandy, but you got to play defense and not let a wide open deep cut come right after you turn it over.
I think a phrase that people will hear me say a fair bit this week is work smarter, not harder, because beach is exhausting enough it is. So if you can find ways to move less, to kind of be proactive with switching and give yourself less to do, tire your opponent out, that's good. But there are some times when you just need to put a shift on. And unfortunately, that was one of those times. So 5-2, the Spaniards lead here. Wagon got to see if they can start getting some breaks on the board. I was going to say get the break train rolling, but I guess it's a break wagon. Going with the outside in backhand for the pull. Caught on the knees. And trying to get things in action quickly. Josue Verdasco opening it up. This is going to be contested. It's over Prosser's head. Well tracked there by Alvarez. Turns to pick out his resetting Cantero. A few yards away. Are they able to find their way over? Not that time. Going back, just trying to get their end zone offense reset, a little bounce forward once more. This is very patient, disciplined red zone play. All players on the floor, they just couldn't quite take advantage of it. And then a little toe tap at the front of the end zone there for Corocotta. Just trying to keep their male matching players out of the way there, push them into the backfield so they can isolate their female matching players in the end zone, and eventually they hit one for the score.
I think that's a smart one. I do think they have a little bit of an athletic advantage on the female matching side, so good to see them using that to their advantage. I'm Wagon. I'm happy with that defensive look. I think that was the most the Corocotta O-line has had to work so far in this game. You see that they at least forced 11 passes out of the Corocotta offense there compared to the 5 on the previous outing. Actually, Benji, looking at this, it's Corocotta O-line's only been out there twice so far this game.
Yes, they've had a relatively light day so far. Well, I think that's, as an O-line, you don't mind that necessarily.
No, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Remember the World Ultimate Championships this year, I remember the final, the US Open team, their O-line didn't take the field in the second half. It just rattled off 7 breaks in a row to win that one, and I'm sure the O-line players were just happy.
Yeah, as someone who used to play O-line, I love not having to play Frisbee. It was great. But that probably says a lot more about me than it says about other things. Another good pull from Corocotta, again forcing Wagon to the back of their own end zone. Rodrigo Arcibar. Big pump fake there from the lefty McCarthy. Pops that one over the top. And now this is really zinged towards the back of the end zone. I think they're going to run out of room. Nowhere near enough finesse on that throw.
Yeah, that to me is a classic not used to beach speed throw. That throw would have been dead on if it was on grass, but here in the sand, receiver not able to get to that one. And it would have been tough to even toe that one in if he did catch up. You see that just so much pepper on that throw. And when I coach teams on grass, especially at higher levels, I want people to put it out into space so you can run it down and not have anybody contest in the air. But on beach, I think you have to throw a little bit more to where the player already is and not into space.
McFerrin then. So they work it towards the near side for Jorge Garcia. Just past the defender, and they're going to open up the center of the field. Drives the forehand right down the strip, but it's just too far for McFerrin. Feels like the energy for Corocotta is really there on the sideline as well, which you can probably hear. Flagged by Pline. Greenfield plays a little 1-2 with Arcibar. That one is going to be tipped back into his hand. Excellent adjustment, superb focus. And now trying to shoot it deep on the second attempt and over the head of Klein, and it sits forlornly in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, second time that Rodrigo Arcibar just puts a little bit too much on his deep shots. It's a long week, as you said. I'm sure he'll be adjusting those well by the time we get to the tail end of this one. Rodrigo Arcibar actually from Chicago, Illinois, and also currently lives there, but has played with Osaka Spirits and Newcastle, this team, Wagon, back in the World Ultimate Club Championships in 2022, so has a history with this club. Deep shot goes up for the break opportunity.
This is going to be a good contest, and in the end, Jorge Garcia makes that box well, just closes Greeny out of it, and a good slap of hands and back slaps afterwards. I think that's, as a smaller player, something I do like to see when, you know, maybe you're up against it downfield, is that you don't necessarily need to have a height mismatch. If you read it nice and early, you can create yourself that space, that buffer, keep the defender on the backside, and then go and attack it at the end.
So score here is 7-2, Benji, which means we're going into halftime. But it's here in these beach rules, there is no time at halftime. It's just a mirror of the beginning of the game. So Corocotta will get the start on offense, but there's actually not a break in this game. Although I think maybe nobody told Wagon because they are circling up.
Yeah, I think they're not having a full timeout. They're just extending it slightly.
Which is not what the rules say. It's a 0 minutes halftime here at WBUCC, which, as the captain of a team who likes to use half times and timeouts, we only get one timeout per game.
I know, you must be livid.
Well, I'll tell you what, Benji, if anyone on my team calls a timeout in play and wastes that timeout for that, I'll be pretty livid. So if you see that one on stream later, you'll know.
I think I'm not.
Get the close-up cam on me.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm on that game, but I can heckle it from the sideline, don't worry.
Just tell your camera people that if UFO calls in-game timeouts, in-play timeouts, to zoom the camera in on me to see my facial expression. It'll tell it all.
Well, I think Steph's planning on running the gimbal for that game, so don't worry, he'll get right up in there. Although I will say that we saw UFA take an in-play timeout during that during the opening game, and they immediately sent it deep for a score. So maybe there you go. That ball floats out of the sideline, and so we'll give Corocotta the opportunity to take it at the brick mark, an opportunity they scarcely needed, given that their O-line's not turned it so far.
Yeah, last time it did take them 11 passes, took them a bit of work once they got to the red zone, but as you said, 2 clean holds. This is their third chance this game.
And the wind is picking up ever so slightly. Coming off the sea towards our right-hand side. Wondered if they're going to be able to squeeze that dump through. They weren't, so they look to hit the inside shot, and they get the layout block. Aaron Del Real.
I really did not like the dump cuts that were coming before that one, Benji, and that was what really forced that throw.
It was in so close.
Yeah. Not good spacing at all. crowding the disc. That's a panicked crowding.
And there's a floater on the far sideline. Can't fault the effort, certainly, even if it wasn't there to be got. Second chance then for Corocotta. Alfonso Alvarez will bring it in. Was not touched, so it will be at the point where it left the field of play. In front of that Play for Ukraine banner on the far side. Cantero centering. This is a lot more rhythmic from Corocotta. Alvarez gets it as the reset. Things a little bit static in the red zone, so we'll use a little bit of throw and go. Try to just find a way to cloud the field of vision, and they just about spear it in there.
Have you ever played the marking game Redemption before, Benji, where it's just a static mark, you try to throw past them, usually get a couple fakes, have a low stall count to do it? Do you know this game?
Yeah, rings a bell.
That's what that reminded me of. She was just throwing fakes until her mark got out of the way because she had a wide open receiver there, and she was allowed to get a couple fakes in there. Really strange stuff that nobody seemed to pick up that target.
It looked like they almost wanted to peel that switch off and then decided, well, maybe we can't do that. And then it's a question of, well, you've got two players around the thrower, and you know, maybe you could say, well, call a double team and wait for them to space out. But actually, when you have those two players there, that's fine, because as you mentioned, there's a player in the end zone free, and I back myself to find a way to get it to them.
If I am Wagon there, I am celebrating a little bit. We did manage to get a turn off of the Corocotta O-line for the first time, and I think it's pretty clear that there's a bit difference in level between the Spanish and Australian sides, but you want to take those little victories and start progressing yourself as a team through this tournament. That's something to take away from themselves, that they were able to generate that one turn on this very, very strong Spanish side. Yeah,
even as the game goes on, you can see that they are generating more of that pressure. Trying to set up the deep strike downfield, looking for Prosser. This is going to be contested in the end zone, and that's good defense there from McFerrin. Just forced Prosser to go up a little bit early, and it sailed beyond him.
That's it, isn't it? Forced him to go up. He didn't get a disc. He didn't get his hand on the disc, but just that body going up early forced the attacker to take that seriously. And just that extra pressure generated that turnover. Corocotta's D-line get another shot. You
always get told to trust your read, but there are some times when it's, you know, sometimes you feel like, well, you don't have the opportunity to, and that's exactly what McFerrin suckered him into. A nice grab on the reach there by Velasco. It's McFerrin. It's going to take on this break side option and find it. Again, just sitting that out to space, breaking the force. This position's got a more methodical approach than some of their previous ones, not quite as fluid. Didn't want the underneath space. McFerrin's clearing out as the dump. They're opening up the inside all the way across the field. They find De Los Rios. And then both players getting a face full of sand, but everything okay. Now getting a big gainer. But again, the timing's a little bit off, a little bit slow, but the throw goes up early with that outside in edge, curls it around the defender and into the end zone for the score.
It's another break for the Corocotta D-line. They're really putting a stamp on this game, Benji.
That didn't feel like a D-line possession, because back in my day, your D-line just used to pick it up and jack it and then play defense again. But that was, no, we're going to slowly and surely grind our way down the field if we have to. Very disciplined. Yeah,
actually, I've been more impressed with the Corocotta D-line offense with the O-line offense. They have a much better reset structure, as I can say that one time that the O-line did turn it over, it was on crowding the disc. That's what I didn't like. I haven't seen the D-line do anything like that so far. So O-line gotta learn some things from your D-line here.
Putting down an early marker, that little intra-team rivalry there.
Corocotta rocking some of these athletic skirts.
Yeah, the skirts.
Have not seen that in Ultimate for a while.
Generally, I find it's, yeah, the Spanish and Portuguese teams who are big skirt wearers. But I wonder if that's part of the reason why they're so good on sand.
Maybe we need to try that out.
I was going to say, UFO, team skirts, you into it?
If it gives us any advantage, we'll take it.
I'll hold you to that. Nice break side, and then the dish off. Going to put some air underneath it, looking deep for Plein. Plein, it teased her. It felt like it was there, but it just continued to elude her fingertips. It looked so good up until that final second.
Rest of this pool shaping up pretty well. This game 9-2, but Ukrainian mixed up 6-5 on Wasta, and the Foo Fighters from Singapore up 5-4 on the Flying Rabbit. So a bit of closer matches elsewhere in Pool G.
That one a run through block, yoink. That disc belongs to Jack Humphreys. And the young gun's got it again. Looking for some more organisation in the end zone, and it looks like there's going to be a stoppage for some reason. Only been playing 2.5 years, which I will say is less, it's not quite as long as some of his teammates. As that end zone throw looking for Greenfield. He's only been playing about 30 years longer than that, genuinely. That's overshot him. And now Corocotta, you see instantly running towards the end zone line and putting it deep. He's got the position on this one, and Humphreys that time can't come all the way around. And it's coast to coast for the score.
Single throw offense there on that one after Humphreys gets the run through D. Corocotta put another break on the board. We're at 10-2.
I mean, full credit to Corocotta, because they have turned up and they are on it from the very first whistle.
Yeah, like I said, winning the energy battle early. You can see their sideline pumping up everything, even when they were making mistakes, clapping on the sideline, encouraging their team.
Yeah, it's 5-on-5 on the field, but it's everyone involved, even if they're not necessarily on the pitch. Mixed division, 5-on-5, so three of one gender, 2 of the other, and it switches after every other point. And we are using the prescribed puller rule as well. So the dominant on-pitch gender in terms of numbers pulls. So with McFerrin pulling, that tells you that we have 3 male and 2 female matching players for each side at this point. And he has the pink disc in his hand now, ready. How do you find the pink discs to play with?
We haven't played with it yet. We had a white disc for our practice game yesterday. I think we did go to BULA earlier this year and play with some pink discs. It's fine. It's plastic. It spins.
Yep.
No big deal.
That's low and clutched into the chest. Slightly awkwardly, but it worked for Murray. And then that's a lovely throw, just rolling it underneath. Bolton uncorking it, and well, may as well try it, I guess. See if it's on. Not quite there.
Yeah, it's been one of the faults for Wagon this whole game. Their big shots, whether it's a big hammer or a huck downfield, have not been on. And the problem with that is that if you don't have those throws on, it allows an athletic team like Corocotta to just play you no under and gum up your whole offense, and that's what the Spanish side's been doing all game long.
Alvarez is going to bring the disc in, but it might be a few seconds before he does so. He's going to break into a light jog as he goes and retrieves the pink Eurodisc. Bolton's going to put the mark on, having ceded possession with the hammer. Streaking underneath, has to sit down in the sand to ensure the body's behind it. Able to get the reset off to McFerrin. And now Alvarez. Finds a centering option, goes. McFerrin again just gets the wrong side of the defender. High take. Nearly excellently reeled in, but it just would not sit for her. Wanted to hit the inside window, thought about it for a second too long, and it closed. Prosser putting a bit of shape on that one, squeezes it under the mark and rolls it into the end zone for the score.
Now on that one, Benji, would you put that as a drop or a throwaway on the stats board if you were in charge?
I'd put that as a throwaway, I think.
Yeah.
On beach, I think if you're asking someone to catch it right at the tip of their jump, it's possible. But as a thrower, you want to try and make that easier on your receiver, for my money.
So Wagon hold on, get their 3rd point on the board. 10-3, still alive in this one. But they've been yet to get a break on this Corocotta O-line, though they have turned it on them once.
And with beach, the games aren't particularly long as well. Cap comes on at 45 minutes, and the score cap is 13 as well. And it keeps things really moving at quite a pace.
I think the way this game's moving, we'll easily get to 13. Still have more than 10 minutes left on the clock.
And the way Corocotta have been playing, you're right. You would be surprised to not see them go all the way. But who knows? Maybe Wagon has some tricks up their sleeve.
Both teams do have sleeves here, Benji. Oftentimes on beach, people go with the
tank top.
The tank top, but neither team going that way today.
Trying to set up the deep shot. They've got a couple of steps, and I don't think the disc is going to sit for long enough. Defender was beginning to close some of that gap as well. And again, you mentioned it, Corocotta's O-line not been rock solid.
Yeah, maybe just the lack of playing time on the pitch affecting them a little bit. Not able to really dial into this one. That can be a really hard thing to do when you're beating a team by a lot, to keep playing at your level.
Wagon, they're going to shoot it deep themselves, looking for Prosser on a rope. What a throw that is. He's got it on the end zone line now. Does he have the support? Oh, just tosses that one up there. Defender sees it late. I love that look. And it's a break into the hands of Bryce Winchester. Well, maybe Wagon do have something.
Yeah, take a bow there, Luke Prosser. That cut was phenomenal. Disc was placed very well for him. And then I like that little top elevator backhand for the score. And that's a break on the board, capitalizing on Corocotta's error, and I like that better from Wagon.
I mean, that was classic D-line offense there. Send someone deep and shoot it. But it was a brilliant throw, because we've mentioned the wind is picking up a little bit. It is coming off the beach, off the sea, so that is the downwind direction. But it just held its line superbly, and then, as you mentioned, the creativity, just lofting it over the defender there. By the time he saw it, it was already too late, because there was no way he was going to be able to close that gap. Full day of action for you here at the first ever World Beach Ultimate Club Championships. And this has been a date I've marked in my calendar for a long, long time, and I'm so happy that it's finally here. What have Corocotta got for us this time round? 2 set, 3 downfield. Finds that inside break space really well. Thought they might send it to the end zone, but no. And again, a little bit cluttered and congested. Are able to get the reset past the bidding defender. And now, can they capitalize into the upline space? That's a good switch passed off there by Wagon. Well recognized. Go Utes. Again, sending their female matching players into the end zone. And Corocotta using your favorite trick there. The in-play timeout.
In-play timeout indeed. I really didn't like their reset structure there again, Benji. They had 2 people there and gum things up. Yes, they still have the disc, but if they want to go further in this tournament, which I'm sure they do, they have to clean up that reset structure.
So, 10-4 then. Corocotta leading Wagon late here in mixed division action from the World Beach Ultimate Club Championships. The first ever World Beach Ultimate Cup Championships in full swing. Mixed division action for you. Corocotta up 10-4 on Wagon, Spain versus Australia. And Corocotta are going to come in off the timeout just a few yards away from the end zone. Benji Rees and Ravi Vasudevan with you in our wonderful commentary position here. Best seat in the house. I say seat. Stood up, so we kind of get the energy going a little bit more and get an even better view. But I mean, it's a glorious, glorious day here in Portimão.
Elsewhere in this pool, Ukraine mixed up now 8-6 on Vasta, taking a little bit of a lead there. Flying Rabbits taking the lead back from Foo Fighters. They're up 7-6, so some close ones here in Pool G. But this one now, Corocotta in commanding lead, 10-4. Spaniards are up.
Yeah, this pool also has Guambats, but with a 17 pool, of course, only a certain number of players, certain number of teams can be in action at any one time. Hello, Drone. Good to see you again. The timeout, setting the one-on-one. Can they squeeze it in there down the line? Well weighted, well executed, and that's exactly what they would have wanted off the timeout call.
Surely that's exactly how they drew it up. And great point there for Corocotta, 11-4. They're still in a commanding lead. Wagon playing better, applying more pressure here, forcing that timeout, which I think is a win for a defensive line. Not able to clamp down off of the timeout, but still a lot of stuff to take away from this later part of this game. Wagon definitely improving. And I think maybe this team, I don't know how experienced they are on beach. Maybe they haven't played quite this level before. And you hope that with this type of tournament, you can just get better and better every game. Right now, a bit outmatched by the Spaniards, but we know that these Spanish teams, they take beach extremely seriously and have for years.
Well, as you mentioned, it is a long tournament, and even if it doesn't start so well for you, you know, it's possible that you can cross your way back up from the power pools. And there were 54 teams in this division, although I think that's actually down to 53 because, as we mentioned, Blackfish Ultimate from Kenya were not able to make it because they suffered with visa issues, which is a real shame. So disappointing that they couldn't make it out here, but yeah, 53 teams is a huge division. And a nightmare for a schedule writer. There's the deep shot. Looked like there might have been a miscommunication on it. Del Real had already begun to plant and come under. And the disc is going to go back to Corocotta. You ever tried running a 54-team schedule?
54? Can't say that I have, Benji.
No, me neither. I don't really think there's an instruction manual for that one.
I've helped to run a 40-team schedule with the windmill division. But,
oh, yeah, of course.
Swiss Straw just runs itself, so you don't have to do much.
That's cheating. Here's the deep shot again from Corocotta. Del Real looks like he has the beat on that one, and he goes up big and early and swats it out of the sideline. Both sides trading deep turnovers then. Bolton wanted to sit that out for Greenfield, and I think maybe he thought it was for someone else. And now instantly off the turn, zipping it and roasting it towards the back of the end zone for the score to bring Corocotta within one of the win.
12-4, another break for Corocotta. At first huck, not great. Del Real doing well to position himself for that defense, but second time was picture perfect in the back corner of the end zone.
I mean, picture perfect feels appropriate when you look at the surroundings of the Praia da Rocha. It's about maybe the 4th time I've been here. Every time it's been a wonderful experience, and having that great relationship with the, with the city of Portimão means that there is so much cooperation, so much buy-in, from the administration here, and it just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, I came here. Basically, there's a kind of on the left side, you can see this sort of cliff that overlooks the whole beach. I parked my car there this morning while all the teams were warming up for this round and just got a view of the whole venue, and it just was amazing, Benji. I always love seeing these international events, players from all over the world preparing. I like this moment too. No one really knows where you're going to sit. No one really knows. It's basically anyone's game still. There are some favorites. There are some people that are hoping to be underdogs and come their way up, but right now, everyone's on the same footing.
Everyone's coming in with optimism because, hey, until you get out there, you could win this thing. Dished off to Prosser. It's Going to try and arc that towards the far sideline. That's a lovely throw. It's going to get them just shy of the end zone travel because she needs to reset her feet in the central zone. Checked in. Can Wagon capitalize? Taking the reset. Trying to break around. That's a lovely break as well. Utilizing the length on the pivot. Gearing, squeezes it around the mark and into the end zone for the score to, I believe, that's Winchester again.
That was a phenomenal throw there by Luke Prosser to get that going on that huck. I thought it was in when by my eyes, but she clearly had to walk it back. But you can see glimpses of great play here from Wagon. They just have to put it all together a little more. But they played a lot better the second half than this first half.
100% agree with that. They've generated turns more consistently. They're able to get a break on the board. Their offense has looked a little bit more rhythmic, and when they have turned it over, they've been able to get it back more frequently. Yeah, it's just taking them a little bit of time to settle into it. And again, as we mentioned, Corocotta are no slouches. They are a very good side who are very adept at playing on this surface. My Australian geography isn't great, so I can't tell you how close Newcastle is to the beach. Corocotta then with a chance to end it. Well, it's on the coast, Newcastle, so, you know, fair enough. Probably aren't used to playing on the beach. Trying to get some breakside flow going. Full extension required and provided from Alfonso Alvarez. Good. Two of them just playing it between themselves at the moment. Things looking a bit static away from the disc. And then pointing and shooting for the score and for the win.
So that's 13-5 final score there. Sorry, we missed one of the points for Wagon on the board. But yeah, 13-5 is the final score. Corocotta with a commanding win. Yeah, they stumbled a little bit in the second half, but there was really never any doubt that they were going to win this one. No,
you must admit that they looked good value for it right from the off, to be honest. Quite a commanding victory. Yes, Wagon did come back into it in the second half, and they deserve a lot of credit for that because first game of the tournament, things aren't going to plan. It can be so easy to get very insular and let your heads drop, and it just sets a bad precedent for the rest of the weekend. But they did improve after the interval. They did, provide a little bit more spark, and that's something for them to take going forward in what is, going to be a long week with a lot of games for them. Going to see if we can try and grab someone for a post-match interview. I think teams are already trying to claim the space for themselves for our next stream game, which is our first women's division action of the weekend. Tequila Elite from Rimini in Italy, taking on Chile from Canada, which it certainly is not. Glorious weather out here, as we mentioned, in Portimão. Your first game is coming up what time, Ravi?
Just after that at 2:30 local time.
UFO taking on
Discover Lisboa.
That's the one. Ooh. How are you feeling about it?
Feeling pretty good. I think it's going to be a good matchup. Definitely an important one. We'll get Liam Grant and Sarah Sparks on the call for that one.
Excellent. I'm sure they will be very fair and unbiased. And not at all rooting against you.
Well, Sarah Sparks is an UFO member herself, so she might be rooting for me. I don't know what Liam's going to do. He's probably going to bounce it the other direction a little bit. Yeah,
exactly. Got to provide balance, neutrality in the booth. Going to see the two sides just signing off the match slip just to confirm the result and the score, and they'll go into their post-game spirit circle at the end as well, of course. Again, just trying to see if we're able to get an interview lined up for you. Haven't heard anything as yet. Aha, I see that Hannah has done some wrangling. And it looks like she has grabbed Corocotta's Kyle McFerrin, has stepped up to do the honors. The, well, adopted Spaniard. Originally from the west coast of the States, but now plying his trade, of course, with Corocotta in Spain. See that Hannah is just about ready to get into position, getting the drone ready as well. And yeah, just seeing some of the highlights from the game while Kyle gets in position. Lots of yeah, hooting and hollering, of course, things in very good spirits, it sounds like, on the beach. And you can see there just a replay of that final score. Nice layout down the far sideline before they were able to punch it into the end zone. Hannah's with Kyle McFerrin. Hannah, over to you.
I'm on the sidelines here with Kyle McFerrin. Congratulations on a really incredible win.
Thank you.
At what point, Kyle, did you know that you were going to take that match?
I don't think we knew until the very last point. It's Beach Ultimate, anything can happen. We played till the very end.
Well, you have someone that obviously wasn't able to take the field today. I know you wanted to chat him out, so I'll give you the opportunity.
OT, we're thinking about you. We miss you. Get better soon. OT, shout out.
So in terms of coming to World Beach, obviously we've seen Corocotta do amazing things, in Royam last season, went really deep into the bracket. What's the preparation been like coming here to Portimão?
Yeah, we've been focused. We've had this as our goal, kind of just a vision all summer. It's a little bit of a culmination of Corocotta's been a team for a long time, so we have some players like myself that have been on the team for 15, even 20 years, and then a lot of newer players that are kind of starting over, so this is kind of that coming together of sending off some of the old and bringing the new. We've been looking forward to it.
Nice. Well, obviously as an established team, are there any opponents you're really looking forward to playing?
I can't pick out anybody. We're just focusing on the next game, one game at a time. We have 2 games each day. So yeah, we've been looking at Australia in this game. We really wanted to come out. We didn't know how much beach practice they would have coming into this. We live on the beach, we play on the beach, this is our surface. So we really wanted to kind of start fast and hit them with that.
Well, of course, this is not your literal beach, but what's the best thing about being in Portimão?
Look at this weather. It's, I don't know, we're in the middle of October and I'm sweating, it's hot. There's absolutely no complaints.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Carl, and good luck in the rest of your games.
Thank you, and shout out to my wife and daughter back home, Alba, Amaya, os quiero mucho.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
We're like fire.